Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Malibu Pacific Church podcast. It's me, Joel, and we got...
Well, you have Andy here today.
Hey!
Yeah, sorry to disappoint.
It's Andy, special guest
Sorry
Andy.
to disappoint you.
Oh, none whatsoever.
But we promise it'll be good.
It will be good. If
Yeah.
you haven't listened to this past week's sermon yet, I would say press pause on this podcast right now and go listen to it, but I'm not going to tell you how to live your life. So, again, welcome to the Malibu Pacific Church
Glad
podcast.
you're here. Thanks for joining in for what, 15 minutes or so? Yeah.
Yeah, a conversation after
After the conversation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, big question. Everybody's asking this from this past Sunday.
Oh,
All right.
I can't wait to hear it.
Ready for this?
Yeah.
Who were you rooting for the Super Bowl?
Oh, definitely the Eagles.
There you
yeah,
go.
I hate this. Yeah, it was. My wife's family is from Philadelphia. And my wife was born in Philadelphia, so there was no option there.
No option.
Yeah, I had to.
Gotcha. Well, that's fun. Well, they had a really great game.
Really good game.
Woo!
Wow.
Yeah,
surprised everybody.
It totally did. Chiefs were, they fell apart. Anyways,
Yeah.
The Eagles stopped the only 2 3-peat champions. They stopped Tom Brady from getting a 3-peat of the Super Bowl with the Patriots.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and they stopped the Chiefs. So
nice.
Yeah.
Wow, that's their role.
It is.
Stop the
stop the
3-peats. Yeah.
Oh, good stuff. Well, hey, we're at our Voices session 3. So session 3 of Voices. And we're going, I believe, all the way to session 8,
We
which
are.
is very exciting.
Actually,
with
sorry
this.
to correct it.
Yeah.
9.
Oh,
It's actually
9.
going to be 9.
Oh, there we
I think
go.
it's
9
weeks. 3, 3, and 3.
Mm-hmm.
Talking about people
Okay.
who are voices speaking into our lives, the Bible, Scripture
Yep.
speaks into our lives, and the Holy Spirit. So 3 weeks on each.
For sure.
And that will take us right up to Easter.
Yeah, absolutely. One question that I did get was, who's somebody in your life that was a really strong voice that wasn't related to you?
I almost mentioned, that's a great question. I almost mentioned it on Sunday.
Yeah.
One of the voices has been, and this church is familiar with him, and he's been a part of this church. His name's Paul Borden. He was a transitional pastor, and I knew him 25 years ago, and he's the one that recruited me to Santa Rosa. And my wife and I were there for 21 years, and then many years later, he calls again and says, hey, I have this church that I'm working with. I think you'd be a good fit. But he has been a true mentor. He has been a voice. He is a transitional pastor, a consultant. He also was the provost at Denver Theological Seminary. He's written many, many books on how to turn around churches, how to turn denominations around.
Yeah.
He's actually become a voice in denominationalism. On how to turn a denomination around, and he's speaking to the larger group of organizations, and he's become a voice that is helping denominations turn around because they're declining.
Yeah.
They're just becoming irrelevant here in our modern day culture, but they could be helpful, important as a group of people, but you know, what was established 100, 150 years ago for denominationalism to help pastors and churches have structure systems now has become irrelevant after 150 years. So what worked in 1880s doesn't work today.
Yeah.
I don't know if you knew that. So
It doesn't?
No, just a little sarcasm. So anyway.
Well, I'm still making candles, so it's fine.
he has become a mentor, really.
Cool.
And I can get into other mentors and healthy voices. I don't know what other questions you had, but he is one. I almost mentioned him on Sunday.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Big shout out to Paul Borden right
Yeah.
there. So, all right. So you're in the book of Proverbs a lot this past week.
Yeah.
Why Proverbs? Sorry, low hanging fruit.
No, yeah. Well, as the first 10 minutes, I'm reading through all the passages that Solomon, who wrote Proverbs, who is the wisest king, and during the golden age of Israel, talked about needing advisors. Wise people get other wisdom. They're wise because they have advisors. So all the verses I read, and there's a bunch more, was Solomon's advice to people to have good advisors in your life.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, it's so important because wisdom is saying, I don't know everything.
Yeah.
I'm wise enough to recognize I need other people who are wiser in a different area of my life, which I think is important for us to get into.
Yeah.
it's not just one person. So I said Paul Borden. Well, that's in the church world.
Yeah.
But also in leadership, Abraham Lincoln, the president in 1860,
Yeah.
during the Civil War, is one of my leadership advisors.
Ooh.
Well, what do you mean? You still meet with Lincoln? Yeah, I read his books on leadership or books that are written about his leadership. And so Abraham Lincoln is advising me on leadership.
Yeah.
We found a financial consultant who helped us with our retirement plan. Well, we got an advisor on how much do we need in order to retire and how much we should be putting away. And we've talked to several financial advisors
Yeah.
for our future.
Yeah.
So it wasn't Abraham Lincoln, but we found another advisor in a different area. So I have a spiritual advisor, a leadership advisor. Early on in ministry, my advisors were people I had never met, but they were advising me, and I was watching from a distance. Really important one was Rick Warren early on. Help me out. You're from SoCal.
Yep.
When he wrote The Purpose-Driven Church.
Yep.
The Purpose-Driven Life and then Purpose-Driven Church. He also wrote those. But I was there at those first conferences.
Cool.
I drove down on my own. There's this new church that was blowing up called Saddleback.
Yeah.
And I was sitting in that back row taking notes,
Yeah.
man, because it just blew my world as
Yeah.
far as what church could be and should be. And it blew a lot of my perceptions or things that I learned in seminary, because I was told I need to be an expert in everything when you go to seminary.
That's fun.
Yeah. And then you feel depressed because, like, I can't be an expert in everything.
Well, you're supposed to be because
like
you have
you're
to take care of
supposed to be.
everything. Yeah.
Yeah. So Rick Warren was the first one that talked about delegating. It's not about you as the pastor, and find people who are better than you and put them in the room and let them be your advisors. He was the first one that said the laity do the ministry, the priesthood of all believers. This is a classic line right out of the book, that the staff of a church do the administration, the people do the ministry. And when I went to seminary, it said the pastor does all the ministry.
Yep.
You do it all. And people watch you, I guess. Yeah, look at the pastor run around and do all the ministry. No.
Yep.
When he said the job of staff is to do the administration, to help facilitate, create environments so that people can do the ministry, that blew me away.
Yeah.
So anyway, Rick Warren became an advisor. I went to North Point. In the first 2-3 years, I heard of this church that went from 1,000 to 5,000 in a year or two. So I literally got on a plane and went to check it out. They were still putting the paint on the building and the landscaping, and I went there. And I found a secretary, and I said, would you just tell me what's happening here? And she gave me a tour behind the scenes, and I was like, whoa, create a church for unchurched people.
Yeah.
That just was like, what does that mean? What does that look like?
Totally.
Because I learned in seminary that I'm supposed to do church for church people.
Yeah.
How to create a church for unchurched people. And then Andy Stanley came out with a book many years ago, and I still use it, Deep and Wide.
Yeah.
In other words, so then there was a big conversation in our culture of, do you go deep or do you go wide?
Because you can't do both.
Well, you can't do both.
You can't
right?
do both. There's no way.
No. And so you're just very light on the gospel, and you don't really preach the word. It's just all candy for people.
Yep.
And actually, that just blew me away that you can't be deep and you can be wide.
Oh.
Be wide. And actually, that's what Jesus did. And in feeding the masses, they came to him because they had a need. We're hungry.
Yeah.
So Jesus was attractional.
Yeah.
I mean,
When
he
you
can
look at
heal
it.
us. I was trying to get something out of Jesus, and so he was attractional. But you help people take steps and then are invited into different layers or growth that then become a follower of Jesus. And then within the 12, there were 3, and then within the 3, there's 1. And so it's not either or. It's deep and wide. And so anyway, he became an advisor from a distance. So the point is, find an expert or an advisor that is an expert and an advisor that you trust in that area.
Yeah,
And that you're never going to find one person that's in every area of your life.
totally.
My wife Kelly and I, we found people that were farther down the road in how they raise their kids.
Mhm.
So they became advisors.
Yeah.
In raising kids and marriage. So I have actually a many advisors, or it depends on what area that I'm looking for advice.
Gotcha.
Let me also say this. I forgot to mention it on Sunday. I think I will say it this week as well. Is that, and this was early on, and the reason why I went to Saddleback, and the reason why I went to North Point, or I also went to Willow Creek with Bill Hybels because they were blowing up, and I went to their leadership conference, the Leadership Summit, I think it's called. And so I just got on a plane and I said, I want to learn from those who are farther down the road of where I would want to be somewhere. And really this came from somebody who gave me advice in seminary. His name was Dr. Donald Joy. And I use a lot of his stuff. Took every class that he took on bonding and spiritual growth development, human growth and development, Fowler, Piaget, and so forth. And he said, I was working in a small little dysfunctional church. And I was getting a little frustrated as a 23-year-old seminary student. I know I went straight from college into seminary. That was a mistake, but just forget it because I didn't know what to ask anyway. So I went to graduate school. I went to seminary because I knew this is what God wanted me to do. But he said to me, Andy, if you want to know how to grow a healthy church, you need to go and work in a healthy church. Go and study healthy churches. Go be a student of health. And if you're in a dysfunctional church, all you're going to learn to do is be dysfunctional. This is how dysfunctional churches work. If you want to know how healthy growing churches work, you need to get engaged and involved in a healthy growing church.
Totally.
So that just made a ton of sense to me. And that's what I started doing, becoming a student of healthy, not working in a dysfunctional church. Because the only message I was getting was, this is how to be dysfunctional.
Yeah.
I was becoming a student of unhealthy, dysfunctional church. And I also forgot to say this on Sunday. The way you're able to determine, and if you were here, you need to go back and watch the sermon the last couple of weeks, the way you determine what healthy fruit are or unhealthy, or what is good fruit and bad fruit when you go to the grocery store, because people are like food. They are nutrients to our lives. So if you're hanging around healthy, good people, you're getting healthy nutrients from them. If you're hanging around bad food or eating bad food, you're going to get sick.
Totally.
And so it's just common sense. We do that with food, but we don't think that way about people. That there are people who are nurturing us, and there are people in our lives who are not healthy, and they're making us sick because they are nutrient deficient. So we're not trying to judge people, but we are evaluating who we are allowing and who to speak into our lives. So the way, again, long answer there to the church world, I was eating bad food by being in a dysfunctional little church. And I was learning what dysfunctional bad fruit is. But I'm not going to be able to determine what is healthy and unhealthy unless I'm a student of healthy. Because the more I know what a good banana looks like and how to pick bananas, well, then the moment I see a rotting banana, I can spot the rotting banana. But if all I'm doing is hanging around rotten bananas, that's all I know, and I keep picking rotten bananas.
Yeah.
But when I'm hanging around healthy bananas or good bananas, good food, when I see a rotten banana, I go, that banana is rotten.
Yes.
So that's how we discern healthy and unhealthy, is by hanging around healthy. And so find healthy people, find healthy advisors.
Yeah.
And then the moment that you're in an unhealthy environment, you start just spotting it, like bad banana, bad banana, bad banana. How do you know? Because I know what a good banana looks like.
Totally.
And that's also true for your workplace. Let me say this: how important it is for all those of you who are leading your families, your homes, a business, a church, is to begin to be able to spot what's unhealthy
Hmm.
and removing that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know what the question was again, but anyway, you
It was,
need
how
to.
was your day?
Yeah, I was. Yeah, those are just things that are still on my mind that I didn't have a chance to say on Sunday.
It's incredible. That's why we have a
Yeah,
podcast.
that's the
Exactly.
conversation
Keep
after
going.
the conversation. So hang around. Well, what I was getting ready to finish saying there, because it's so important for you to be hanging around healthy people so that you can become healthy and spot unhealthiness. Because what you are doing at your home, business, and church is you're creating a culture that's healthy.
Hmm.
And you have to fight and defend that culture.
Yeah.
Culture trumps strategy.
Yeah.
Culture trumps your vision statement that's written on the wall of your business.
Yeah.
We want to, Enron, it's literally what
Yeah.
it used to be. It's famous. It was written in front. We are a company of integrity.
Totally.
We want to have integrity with your money. That was their culture.
Yep.
Well, I mean, their vision statement, but it didn't reflect the culture.
No.
So culture always trumps. I don't care what your vision statement is. Let me go and hang out in the halls of your business for a week or 2
Yeah.
days. When you walk into a place, I don't know about you, but you can walk into a restaurant. You can walk in the moment you know what healthy is.
Yeah.
The moment you walk into a family, a
Yeah.
home,
Yeah.
Super Bowl Sunday, you know if this home is healthy
Mhm.
or there's just something's not right.
Totally. Absolutely.
Yeah.
We recently went to a new restaurant over the hill, and it's called the Cookie Cafe, and they're famous for their cookies, right? But they do breakfast, they do lunch, stuff like that. And we've just been hearing really great things from friends, and it's that same thing. We walked in, and the moment we walked in, we were already greeted. They had stuff for like our kids to play, and then like the seating area, you just kind of go sit on your own. But it was so well thought out because it was like, let's create an intimate booth over here. Let's create a longer table over here, fireplace, books and games all over the place too. And just wanted to say like, oh yeah, this place is going to survive. All of a sudden, we're just seeing all this traction of like, wow, this is really, really cool. And lo and behold, didn't know this, but it's a friend of a friend who owns that place and had no idea. And just really excited because you can totally tell.
You can feel
You
it.
just feel it. Felt it from all the employees there too. Like
Yeah.
the moment we walked in, hello, what can we get for you? And then they're already doing little samples of cookies for the kids and that kind of stuff. And I was
Yeah.
just like, whoa, I don't even know you, but you're taking care of me. This is incredible. Versus going to a restaurant and like, yeah, what do you want?
Right.
Go sit in a corner. And
Yeah.
it's like, I don't want to come back here.
No, you can feel culture.
Yeah, totally.
If this is healthy or unhealthy. But whatever unhealthiness is in us, and all of us are unhealthy.
Mhm.
If you don't know what healthy is, unhealthy seeks out or finds other unhealthy people because we're comfortable with that.
Hmm.
And so it's important that I think I'll talk more about it this week. I think just it's important that you're able, you can start determining if this is a healthy banana or this is not. So just by your restaurant example,
Mhm.
it's like, there's something healthy here. But when I go to that restaurant, I could tell something's not right.
Yeah.
Something's a little off in this culture. So you're able to determine healthy and unhealthy.
Mhm.
But if you're not able, I think in relationships, unhealthy or attracted, misery loves company
Totally.
because we're comfortable in the dysfunction.
Mhm.
And here's the kicker, and here's the hard part: is at the moment you start hanging around healthy,
Mhm.
it feels very uncomfortable.
Mhm.
It's challenging. It starts pointing out my unhealthiness.
Mhm.
And whether or not I keep gravitating towards that. And the key is to be teachable, to have a soft heart, to say, I'm a sinner, I'm not perfect, and I'm learning and I'm growing.
Yeah.
And when somebody points out something that's unhealthy in me, I receive it with joy. Thank you. You cared enough to, you're wanting to help me get healthy. But unhealthy people, when you point something out, they are offended, they're mad, they, oh, you're against me, it's us against them, and so forth. So, yeah, It is hard to go from unhealthy into healthy, and this is true for all of us. And that's what the Church of Jesus Christ is.
Mm-hmm.
That we're trying to create a healthy culture that when we come here, you might actually be a little uncomfortable because it is pointing some things out. But I had a bunch of people on Sunday say this. I wish I had heard that 20 years ago.
Ooh.
I've been through 3 marriages. I've gone through a lot of pain.
Yeah.
I kept picking the wrong person.
When you said that
Yeah.
that question, like why are you picking the wrong people and the isolation point, I felt almost this like vacuum in the room kind of a deal, because I think people that was when I think everybody turned the corner at the same time. Like, when did I pick the wrong people? Why did I
Yeah.
pick the wrong people? Because I think every single person has probably picked a wrong person at one point or another.
All of
And
us.
and
Everyone
we
of
we
us.
can own up to that. So
Yes.
that's the thing, is that we don't want to,
Yeah.
but when we do own up to that, it points you back to better health, because you've learned, you got your scars or whatnot. And,
Well, and it's natural because we are attracted to people's outsides.
Yeah.
But what we experience are their insides,
Yeah.
their character, their hearts. That's why I wanted to get into the heart.
yeah,
Oh, speaking of that, the Galatians 5 passage, I didn't quite finish. There was too much information again, and I knew it, but I don't know. I was just like, hope. I don't usually preach that way, preach for one point, because that's about all we can remember.
yeah,
This is a spraying of a lot of information, and ultimately, and it's on purpose, but hopefully something sticks here.
Yeah.
Or really get people thinking. So yeah, with be careful, or we're attracted to the outsides. Obviously, we're not to judge, but we are experiencing ultimately people's insides or their character, and that takes some time to peel away a person's outside to begin to look at their insides
Mhm.
and to see who they truly are. So we all make the mistake going, "Oh, this person's great or awesome,"
Mhm.
and and that's the image they're portraying. But after 3 years, like, they were not the best employees. They weren't the best business partners. They weren't,
Mhm.
my best friends like I thought they were. Boy, they turned on me.
Mhm.
I never saw that side of them.
yeah,
Here's the question. Have you ever had a relationship that you thought was good and it went bad?
hmm
All of us.
yes,
So, well, what went bad? Well, we experienced their insides
Mhm.
and it went bad. I mean, actually, who they truly were not good. They're
Yeah.
not good fruit.
yeah,
So, yeah, Bible says don't judge, but we are to evaluate. And you can't have everybody be your friend and every person be your influence. So
Totally.
we get to pick. People feel there's 6 different stages. If you weren't here, get that or watch it online. But there's 6 different levels of relationships that we have.
Yeah.
That's by John Townsend. And I just found that very helpful to me. It's not like all in or all out. No, there's different people at different
yeah,
levels.
yeah, and it's supposed to be that way too, because not everybody should be your coach.
No, yeah, you can't have 48 people. Everybody's my coach. I listen to everybody. He's like,
Exactly.
well, then at the end of the day, you won't. So,
Yeah.
I mean, why a Paul Borden? Well, he has a 50-year track record of turning churches unhealthy into healthy around. He has a track record. When you meet Paul, he just shoots straight.
Yeah.
And people like me, leaders, like, quit beating around the bush. Just tell me what's wrong with me
Yeah.
or the church or whatever.
Yeah.
So I just like people who just shoot straight.
Yeah.
And his character has been proven over 50 years.
Mhm.
Good character. It's good fruit.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Very cool. Well, we're going to be going into session number 4. We're going to be switching out of people, and we're going to be switching into.
No, we're still in
Oh,
people.
we're still in people.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay.
The first
Okay.
week was introduction.
Oh,
2
there we
weeks,
go. That's my
safe
bad.
people,
Okay.
unsafe people.
Yes.
Safe people. Get the book, Safe People, the 20 characteristics, and we summarized 20, I think, down to 5, 6, or 7 of unsafe people, characteristics of unsafe. And then last week, I mentioned 3, how to determine who is a safe person. And so this week, just finishing that up,
Cool.
it really, and then both of those fall into 3 categories. We'll talk about that.
Absolutely. And we want you to be here 10:30. We're doing services from now until April 6th, when we launch 2 services again, April 6th, 9:30 and 11, April 6th, and beyond. We're still meeting just for right now at 10:30, so you can watch online or come on site. We know there's a big storm that's coming in this week, and there's a lot of skiing and everything like that. So if you are traveling, watch us online. Come be a part of the chat room. Don't miss out, because this is going to be an awesome session. Session number 4 of Voices, coming to you this Sunday here at Malibu Pacific Church. Again, if you haven't hit that subscribe button, hit that subscribe button and share this podcast with somebody who needs to hear it. Or even better yet, share the sermon with somebody. One text can change a life, so send that out. Again, thank you for listening to the Malibu Pacific Church podcast, and we will see you here next week for a new episode. Bye.